Welcome, BraveHearts, and I'm here with Brent, and as you can see my shirt for our bees. Okay, so let's just talk about this. So let me see, about 6 years to 7 years ago, they came out and they said, the bees are gonna die and so are you, okay? Everything is a trauma. Do you ever notice that? And does anybody ever notice that whenever it's the end of the world, then all of a sudden the hero comes and walks out of the bush and says, no, I've got the answer. So maybe we should all calm down, okay? We should all calm down, because when we stay calm, we come up with things, and that's what Brent's done. Brent's come up with something that not only, okay, has he figured out a way that the bees are not going to die because of 5G, 4G, or any other micro frequencies. The frequency and the healing and the health of the bees and the health of the honey, and also create even higher vibrational beeswax. Okay, so the reality is this. Did you ever notice when you stay calm, you always figure it out? And then guess what? They want you to lose your stuff. They want us all to lose our stuff and just buzz around like bees and get nothing done. And that's what we've been talking about. That's what this whole course was about, is to stay calm and understand. It's not an understanding, because we will stand under no one. It's an understanding. And when you find peace and calm, okay, you will find every answer that you want. It will flow. It will just flow right to you. And understand this, and understand this, that everything that you have ever requested in your life with passion and purpose, you've got it. So when science says this is science today, it isn't tomorrow. Understand? Because science knows nothing. Because it's the invisible that creates the physical, and it's the invisible that will always heal us. And everything is based on frequency. And understand, any frequency that they come up with out there, we will come up with one that will neutralize or push theirs back, okay? All right? So they're not gonna harvest us, and they're not gonna harvest the bees. What do you think, Brent?
That's well said. Perfect, that's right on. So which way would you like me to start and explain?
I want you to go Brent's way.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well then, you were talking a lot about what we did with the bees, so let's back up to that. Where I started wasn't with the bees. It was really about just what you had, your last statement, which was with any frequency that's coming, good or bad or negative or positive, is that we can counter it, or we can work with that frequency, right, to do what we want to do. And so that's really where I was coming from, and I was using a lot of sacred geometry, because what sacred geometry really is about is, with everything we have, whether it's buildings, churches, you'll notice this all the time. When you go from here, you're going to notice this a lot, and what different symbols are there and how the shapes are. And that's not by coincidence. Those are all to alter frequencies. So remember now, when you see a shape, just like when you walk out of here and see the Walmart symbol, you're going to see that it has 6 points to it, which really goes to a star tetrahedron or Star of David or whatever, that we've all seen it, which is, you've seen that on the Jewish flag. So, but that's not a coincidence. What that is that allows us to alter shapes, to do what we want to do for algorithms. So now, put that into the bees. Where I started with was building those up, and then realized by adding magnetism, but specific magnetism, to take those magnets and then put them in a certain shape to then change how that magnetism is going to be used, which creates an algorithm, right? So that's the basis of...
Can I give a little blurb?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Images and thoughts, okay, create frequencies, and they create algorithms. So the images and the thoughts that you have created your life. They've created everything about your life. So if you don't like your life, all you have to go is change the image, change the thought, you change the frequency, you change the algorithm, and when you bring these different beliefs and images together, okay? That is the combination and the accumulation of what you have and where you're going. If you're not willing to change those things, your life is never going to change.
Yeah, so fun fact, and then I'll get back to the bees. So when you look at, and you're going to start to see this, whether it be law enforcement or stuff, you're going to see 5-pointed stars and 6-pointed stars, and you're going to start seeing this all over the place. So the 5-pointed star, which is is pretty common everywhere, that deals with the 5 senses, but the 6-pointed star is the 6th sense, right? It's outside of that. So this is what's so important. So let's talk about the 6 points. So if you look at a 6-pointed star, and then if you can just visualize with me for a second, stand in the center of that star, tetrahedron, and then take a point from every point of the 6, take it above, 3 feet above you and 3 feet below, and now you're standing in an atom. You're standing literally in a quantum physics atom, and the atom is what is in everything you've ever known. We're all made of the same stuff. So when that statement is that we're all made of the same stuff, we absolutely are.
The chair and me.
Right, the wall, the rock. But the difference is what frequency it's vibrating at, right? So there you go. So now we have right down to quantum physics is what we're talking about. So it gets a little bit better.
And none of the atoms are touching.
Exactly, right?
There's nothing touching. This is just trillions of atoms.
Yes.
Vibrating, and you think it's solid.
Exactly. So now, take it a step farther. When you put an intention out, so everything is there, you put an intention to that all-encompassing which way it's going to go, and it all comes from this geometry. So what I did was take those ideas and then put it into magnetism, or magnets, and then put it into specific shape, which was like star tetrahedron, flower of life, and kept playing with it until it had a certain frequency that I was looking for that our cells, insects, animals respond to at a cellular level. It reacts, it's like food to it, right? So that's what it is, without getting, way off into it. And then I got into, well, let's see how that reacts to bees. So in 215 was the first study that we did. And what I did is I went to a holistic beekeeper who had 14 hives. Christine had, about 50 yards apart, I said, take 7 of those hives and do what you normally do to them, like treat them for mites or have chemical treatment. The other 7, I want you to put the cells in, and we're gonna track this. And so we tracked it through to the end of the year. It was nothing short of miraculous. And they were only 50 yards apart, so they're all feeding on the same food. Everything's identical. And what happened, and it's all on the website to see it, and we're talking, the cells that didn't have it had high mite counts. We actually show you what they look like. The other ones were producing 250 pounds of honey, super healthy. And so that's the first one we did. And then we just started going from there. And then beekeepers are a funny lot because they're very protective. So commercial beekeepers are really protective because that's their livelihood, right? And so then I finally got commercial beekeepers to come on board to try it out. And that was spectacular. We will be posting the videos just recently of 30 hives that were no cells in, and then 30 hives that they were in. It was spectacular. I mean, they had to split all the hives that they were in. The other ones were sickly, doing it. It's all on film.
Split means that
they're so heavy, right?
They're so heavy because they doubled the amount of bees and doubled the amount of honey making. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just took a guess.
And this is after 4 months of being packed for the winter time. So what they do is in October, when it gets cold, what they do is they put some food source in, and then they pack them for the entire winter. And then and most of the time, so just so you know, the average last year in Ontario for bee die-off after the winter was 90%, and in our hives it was 40%. This year, the average die-off was still bad, 40%, ours were 0. So it was just
zero,
like none. And this is all with the beekeepers interviewed on film. So, and we'll be putting a lot of that out. We're just filming it now, right? But that's not all we do. What also we do for the beekeepers is really important. The cell is, and when we talk about the cell, here, we're talking about this. It's an item here where the magnets are inside here. Can we see this as a visual? Okay.
Oh, yeah, it'll show up.
Okay,
It'll show up.
so can you see this onto here? That's the visual that's showing exactly how that's moving and attracting into.
But understand, this here, so frequencies create energy and light. And the actual magnets that are in a flower of life form do not, they're not this shape. This is actually the energy coming off, and this is an energy grid. This is not the way the magnets look inside.
No, that's right. If I open it up, you're going to see 12 different magnets in the flower of life. Yeah.
Yeah. So understand, like if I can backtrack, every atom has a tornado.
Yes.
And the flower of life is creating a tornado of healing energy, and that's what that is.
Exactly. And so we're talking about the bees, but really good for us too. So now when we're talking about it, we have, again on the website, we have our lab reports from Pathogenia in Quebec, which is a food lab, specific to food. And what we did is we took chicken, raspberries, normal stuff you'd get out of the grocery store, and they tested it before for things like E. coli, Listerine, and Staphylococcus. And by putting it on this for 5 minutes, as back to what you said, it neutralized those pathogens and it was, depending on the pathogen, it was reducing it 40% to 80% to 90%.
So it didn't kill anything.
Exactly.
It changed the frequency.
That's right.
Which changed the environment, which then morphed it back to the way it should be.
Yeah. It just put it into that neutral, so it's not harming you, right? It's back to what we were talking about. So that is very useful for us. Also with this is that it's really, really good for, around your head or wherever for blocking certain...
or sleeping at night under your pillow.
Yes, really good, because it has a foot ratio before it starts to dissipate off. Like it only has strength for so far, and it's 1 foot, and that's been tested. So
would you love something that would calm your head down, calm your brain down?
Yeah.
Because see, the thing is throughout the day, you're just running a fear program, and fear keeps you in fight or flight. So when you get home, you want to calm down, but you can't calm down the horses. They've been running all day, and they're still freaking out. So the reality is you're exhausted, tired, but you're running on anxiety, and so everything is flip switched. So remember, frequency is the only thing that will take you from a sympathetic state into a parasympathetic state. So put the magnet under your pillow and then do the belly button therapy and then drop, don't forget to drop a couple drops of frankincense and CBD oil in your belly button along with the magnet, and guess what? Bob's your uncle. Well, Brent is.
So, Fanny's your aunt, right?
Yeah.
But something that's really made me smile that's happened lately, right, is that so people get really inventive. So what a number of our customers, they decided to see how their animals reacted to this. So we're going to be filming that next because I'm getting away from the bees. I'll get back to it. But what happened is they were putting it under their older pets, under their sleeping bed pillow and stuff like that. And what the stories that were coming back to us on what was happening to dogs and cats, like I never even thought of that part, right? So like it wasn't something. And so we're going to start filming because all of a sudden an older dog that's not doing anything now is running around, eating and doing stuff. And they're specifically attributing it to that because they were watching very closely. So to come will be a lot more of what's going on with animals and our pets, which are really like our children. So basically that's another thing that's helping because it's helping us, it's helping them. And
if I could say something,
go ahead.
and guess what? I hope you know the profits that you gave today are going to make magnets, these, and guess what they do? They give them free to beekeepers.
Yeah. That's what you're supporting. That's
why
you're
supporting.
Yeah. And we are so grateful because that's why things are a little bit, our honey is a little bit more expensive and things are because...
Yeah, but not when he tells you what he does with the honey before you put it in your mouth, honey.
It seems like it's expensive,
but it's not.
Until I tell you this. So the honey you purchased today, not only did it come from those hives that have this in it, so they're really, really healthy, but it also then is taken, we take it, and I have an instrument, which I should have had, we're going to have this online. It's about the size of a small cabinet, and what it has is it has these in megaform in 3 dimensions spinning inside, 310 magnets. And what they're doing is spinning at 6,000 RPMs. And they're putting out a frequency out that I entrain into the honey. And just so you see what it looks like, we have to show you this. So what I did is, I have a really, really good acquaintance, but more a friend now, is by the name of Bob Conley. And he follows Tesla and has Tesla movie and crazy, but he has Carillion photography. Very few people do. So I said, you've got Carillion photography, let's go down, let's film the honey before I treat it. Like, I'll take it out of the hive and we'll put it in a vial, and I want you to film it before I treat it with my instrument. And let's see what the difference is, right? So what you're going to be looking at here is, on the screen, is the top of it is a little vial. It's a little thin vial that we put onto the machine, and we did the first with no treatment at all, just out of the hives. So you're going to see the energy coming out of it, but wait till you see what it looked like after I treated it. So if you could put that on.
Give me 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
I want.
Okay. Yeah.
If I can explain something. So we know we've got cells, right? We've got 50 trillion to, they say 50 trillion to 70 trillion cells in the body. In every cell, you've got what's called a mitochondria. And that mitochondria should, if you're healthy, spin 2,500 times per second. Now, most people that are ill, it's only spinning 300 to 500 times per second. And that is, when it does that, the frequency is very low in the human being. And when it does spin like it should, it creates enough ATP that actually gets pushed out of the cell, out of the sodium-potassium pump. And then as soon as the ATP comes out of the cell, it creates an actual lightning bolt that creates a new cell. We're talking about the same thing that he's doing. So everything is about frequency. And the energy that's captured in the honey is actually helping you to create new cells. Because everything is frequency. Either they're creating new cells, healthy cells, or you're creating sick cells, or no cells at all. And that's what we call premature aging.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you will, if you can turn this on for everyone to see, I think you'll really enjoy this. So that is the actual honey being filmed right from the hives. And then the next you're going to see is after I treat it.
Right there. There.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It just jumps. And that's the now you're looking at the frequency. It's one of the few things that can capture it, right? So
now he's showing you where.
Yeah.
And now he's showing you.
Right. So that is, but I mean, it's already good before that, but that's why. And now the next label that I've changed on the honey from where you have it, it's called energized honey, right? So I've now put that label on. It's pure. That's why it's pure wave and then energized. But this is the reason. When I first did it, I didn't put that energized on because I didn't have this back onto it.
So you got lots of honey for your money.
But I believe that everybody deserves to see what, we're saying something, but now you're seeing it, right? And now you're seeing that this is not normal honey, right? It's not normal where it comes from, and it's not normal what it's, so it's, and we're told it's some of the, and you can judge for yourself, it's some of the best tasting honey you'll ever taste, right? So again, unlike Manuka where you might be using, this is fabulous for burns, but a lot of times Manuka honey, people don't like the taste, it's grainy, or it's doing this, it's more medicinal. Where this is, you should be
this you can use it anywhere.
Yeah. Don't put it in tea though. Don't put it in hot water. You'll lose the properties. Just eat it. Eat it on toast or have a spoon, one a day. Fabulous. Just absolutely fabulous. And then back, you're supporting. So all these things link back that you're supporting the very.
Oh, we can put it in liquid. You just can't put it in hot water.
Oh yeah, not hot water. That's right. Sorry, liquid but not hot water because
okay.
It dissipated. Okay. And that was. But I wanted you to see that because this all connects back to. Now, for the beekeepers, when we buy the honey from those same beekeepers, here's the statement. In order to save the bees, what we really have to do is save the beekeepers. They control 95% of the bees. So what I do is when we buy the honey from them, we buy it at a premium price. They get more money for it. So again, because then they'll put more money into the bees. The healthier they are, the healthier the bees, because they'll take care of them. So we also do, and we just did it, and I can't wait to post it for you. We just had all kinds of children come out and adults, all with their 4RB shirts, and we went out and we go to those same beekeepers and we seed wildflowers for them specific to what those bees need. So it's food source back to them too. So there's many layers here that we do to support those bees. So that's how we do it. We're feeding the bees, we're taking care of when they come to the hives, and we're looking after the beekeepers. If we do that, that will start to strengthen it out and out and out, because they're the ones that have the financial cost to it, right? And they're the ones now that are the protectors really to doing it. So,
So just think, they can 5G, but we've set the bees free. Brent has, you know? So
we set that army where they're now healthy. They are not subject to this, because the seeds, we provide those as well at no cost. So there's no financial charge to them. So again, that's why they'll do it, right? And we're getting the job done, right? And you're big part of that is what you're helping that to do it. So you're a big part of it, right? It's pure simple. We're all connected now. It's just that we had to figure out a way to do it and administer it and get the trust of the beekeepers. That was the biggie, because they're like, oh, well, sure, you know, whatever. You know, so, but that's
it's like
changing,
everything,
right?
you know what? We're all programmed, right? We're all programmed. And, you know, it's called trust. Who do you trust anymore?
Yeah, exactly. So we got to, but, you know, we got to do it. Once we do it and get more results, then people just, you know, they come on board like game, right? It was so much fun with the kids and all out there. I'll show some of you that want to see it, what it looked like. It was really fun. And it was the kids were so enthralled to get involved, which is hard to get them to do these days, right? Is to get them involved. Right?
Kids love honey, so they'll plant.
Oh no, they were eating that and they're in there and the bees and everything. So it was really good.
Yeah. Any questions?
How old's the company?
I started. I incorporated into.
I'll repeat it. How old's the company?
Yeah.
Because we have to repeat it.
Yeah, no problem. The company is 3 years old, so it's not that old. But the research goes back for. I started 4Bs in 2019, but the research started basically about 2015 for the bees. So, you know, because I did all that prior to starting the company, and so and we've had 2 years with beekeepers now. So we're now
Local to Canada.
Yeah, local. It's all local to a certain area, and then we'll spread out from there.
Yeah, everybody's going to help you grow.
Yes. You can put the chicken on the cell.
You put the chicken on, okay, you put the meat on the cell.
I was just going to say that if you have a plate of food, can you put the plate on the cell?
Do you want to repeat that?
Yeah, do you want to, can we put the plate of food on the cell, or do we have to put the food on the cell?
No, you absolutely can. You absolutely can. So just so everybody knows, if you go to our website under research.
And that's the cell, just so you know.
Yeah. The manual's on there for you to print out. There's about 4 pages. All the do's and don'ts, everything's on there. But yes, that frequency goes right through the plate. No problem. And you can put it in the fridge. You can do that too. But we are finding out that if you extend it, in other words, if you put it on for more than 5 minutes, let's say an hour, you got the food on the cell. Bob Conley's finding out that he got some sort of ripe tomatoes and he put it on, but the longer he put it on it, when he took it off, that food's even lasting longer, like 2 weeks, right? So, but it's there. So again,
if you're not using your magnet, you put it in your fridge.
So yeah. So we're talking about pathogens, but one thing that didn't occur to me is what about longevity of the food? So if it can give you, you know, if you can get an extra week with your, that's pretty good too. You're not.
We were there with Bob, and Bob said, "Look at, you know, I've got an extra 2 weeks out of these tomatoes."
So that's another element, right? That's
right.
Yeah. So yes, you can. The answer is yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so just know that frequency is actually energy. Okay, so the reality is that if you bring up the frequency, okay, then what you do is you turn back the hands of time, right?
Yes.
Because the more energy you have, the more youthful you feel.
Slows it down.
Well, no, it actually reverses it. The problem is that people are aging way too fast because there's too many negative frequencies in their head for the thoughts they have, and for their family have the same negative thoughts, and the negative frequencies that are coming in, whether it's the blue light or whether it's the 5G, 3G, 4G, or all the radio waves. So the reality is you've got to offset. And that's why we use energy medicine. Like behind me is a Celsonic, or we use the Biotron, or we use this under our pillow. I mean, think about how logical that would be under your pillow. Just try it. If you're going to buy one, try it a night or two, because it's just hanging around at night. Nobody's using it, so you might as well use it.
Take it to restaurants with you. That's where you get some really weird pathogens coming. So take it there, right?
Put your plate of food
And you
on
can
top.
travel with it. When you're going in an airport, there's another thing I said, make sure that you just tell them, you know, I don't know about carry-on because they've gone crazy, but if you pack it, you say, I've got a cell in there with magnets on there. There won't be a problem. But carry-on, they got all kinds of problems with carry-on. So you just have to check with it. You know, I mean, you can't take liquids or certain things. But you definitely can pack it in your stuff and travel with it. So we've had lots of people do that. So.
How long do you keep an item on there? Like a
How
plate
long
of
do you
food?
keep your foodstuffs on it? I think it would depend on maybe eventually.
Minimum 5 minutes.
Yeah, eventually, you know what? What would be really good is if you put on your website where people can say, I did this with it, I did that with it,
Yeah.
and
Play with it.
have an open chat. You know,
Yeah.
you need an open chat on
Great
it.
idea, man. We were thinking of that too. Yeah, we're just starting to build all this up because we've been running around filming all this for the last couple of years, and I'm getting to the point where I just can't wait until it's all put together and we get it. So we're going to have a specific site for Pure Wave Cell, a specific for Pure Wave Honey, so that you can just go and get that information. And then the 4RBs is really the mission. That's the mission of what we do for beekeepers, planting seeds, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually there'll be shirts for people. But we want to get a decent clothing where you can have what you like and have that on there and support it. So that'll be the next thing. Yeah, that'll be the next.
So it's just a 1 foot radius?
It dissipates after that. It's strongest.
So
is-
1 foot radius, and then it gets weaker as it goes out
It
further.
only can be so far, right?
Can I put it in a plastic bag to keep it clean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you can put a plastic around it, and it'll still work.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goes through anything like that.
Doesn't that
Even
require-
stainless steel, they'll go through stainless steel. like
Stainless steel,
bowls.
yeah. If you put a bowl on it, stainless steel, it'll go through that. Yeah, absolutely.
It'll go through a stainless steel pot.
Just,
It's very strong.
Oh, okay.
just so you understand, to that magnetic force, that there is no steel bowl. It's just that gap. What you're seeing is solid to it is just open air, right? Because in quantum physics, that floor isn't here, right? It's right.
It's the same thing as your training with your whole life coach training.
Yeah.
When you go out there, that negativity doesn't exist anymore. You change your perception.
Yeah.
Negative and positive is just energy, right?
Yes. Yes.
How does the magnetic frequency from the cell differ from EMFs?
How does the magnetics from the cell differ from EMFs?
Good. Okay. Well, so everybody here, and I know you are, is familiar because of you're familiar with PEMF and MATs and so forth, and how those are developed generally are by converting coils or you're changing your frequency here. The difference with this is I'm using earth magnets, right? So in here, what I'm doing is I'm taking the compounds of the earth magnets, they're being formed. So this is a DC current versus an AC current, basically. And I actually had this tested. So I had Rob Messinger come and do our testing on my instrument that we treat the honey with. And the difference between PEMF mats or that kind of frequency versus this is a DC currency, a grounding earth DC currency, right? And so it really does enter into that natural fold between the Schumann, right? The Schumann and the geomagnetic frequency. Well, magnets is where you're going to get the purest form.
That's why it's so good for you when you sleep, because it's grounding. So it's going to bring you back down to earth.
It's wonderful.
Okay?
Is there anyone who should not use it?
Well, there is people, I guess, that are sensitive to magnets, but I mean, we haven't experienced that, but I would say that it's possible that somebody might be sensitive to magnetics. Or
So here's the thing. Did you ever hear of somebody that they have environmental illness?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there is no such thing. There is no such thing. There is such thing as not being able to process beliefs, and there's such thing as that you become oversensitive. How many people do you know in your life that that are actually allergic to living now. Okay? They're getting close to it.
Yeah.
So, right? So fear, anxiety, blow out your nervous system. Remember, everything is a belief.
So
Everything
true.
is a belief, and every belief is attached to a frequency and energy. And I'm going to tell you this: I have people that believe they're going to die, and they just keep on saying it. I mean, there's people. Look at how many people say this. You know, I've always believed that I'm only going to live till I'm 74. Yeah.
And they actually say that.
And boom, and they're gone. And understand, do some research on this. Okay. So everything is a frequency, right? And I'm going to tell you, we have people that come in that they say that they're allergic to everything. And guess what? And what do they say every day to everyone? I'm allergic to everything. I'm allergic to everything. I'm allergic to everything. What do sick people do? They feed their sick beliefs. What do healthy people do?
Yeah.
They feed their healthy beliefs. So understand, I'm not trying to tell people that the environment is sick, that they're sick, but they have sick beliefs. There's a difference.
Yeah, I met someone one time with cotton batting. And if I brought that out of bed, they went out of their mind. You might as well brought out a gun.
Yeah,
They
and
went
guess what?
completely off the chart, right? Yeah, because they believe it really bad. So that can be with anything. Right?
Go into my library on my website and go watch The Emotional Chemistry of Cancer, Disease, and Healing. And then you'll understand why somebody gets cancer for the second time and then the third time. Because they just go and they re-trigger and they reactivate with a belief. That's it, and that's the bottom line. How many people know that there was what was called the Genome Project, where they spent millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. They wanted to prove that all disease was genetic. And guess what? The whole thing was a flop. They found out that no disease was genetic. It was epigenetic. It actually, nothing was passed on through the family except beliefs. It was either the family curse or the family blessing.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
that's the reality. So now you can live with that. Now you're going to have to take responsibility for yourself, because guess what? It's not genetic. Well, Uncle Harry had it. Well, look at Uncle Harry. No wonder he had it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's right through the families. You've seen that, and you've seen the person that no matter what they do, they're just always in tragedy. Just tragedy. Well, how can somebody be that unlucky, right?
Yeah, because we've got unlucky beliefs.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? We're going to tell that story, and guess what? Our mind is going to do whatever it can to make that story real.
Big time.
Okay.
One of the best books I ever picked up was what's called The Stranger's Secret. You can all look it up. And what basically it is, it says whatever a man or woman thinks about all the time, or most often, that's who they are. That's who they are. Whatever that is, that's who they are. So, and it's a great book, but it gets into the detail of it, but things like that.
And that's why you need to mind your own business. Don't let anybody tell you what you are. Don't ever let anybody tell you what you are. Let's get back to our bees.
Okay, so we've covered that what we do with the hives, we've covered what we do with the beekeepers. So it's for us, our next step is to start spreading it out. Right now we're working in a localized area of Great Highlands, Upper Ontario. And right now we're getting calls all the time from beekeepers that want to expand it out. And that's why we're going out to the public. We're going to start to do an offering in the fall about, out to the public on how we can get more and more cells into more and more hives. And we will conclude this problem of bees. We will then take this and produce a product that the bees, and this is what's really great, is that what the bees give us back is that incredible health. Because as Nikola Tesla said, not only was his favorite food was honey, so you can look that up, but also he said where the bees, where they are most of the time is bringing that sun energy, and the number one occupation that has the longest life is a beekeeper. Yeah, by far, right? The average age of, as you say, is the average age of an allopathic doctor is 55 years of age. Right? That's the average age, right? They die early. So that tells you a lot about something. Those are the facts, right? So, what else would you like me to cover? That's basically what we're
Questions?
Yeah.
Questions? Go ahead.
So I have an organic garden, and I'm going to plant flowers in that. But with the cell in my garden, will that make my produce more bountiful and more quality as far as the fruit
Do you
is?
want to repeat that question? Or?
Yeah, should she put the cell in the garden, and will it make her harvest better?
Yes.
Okay, great, but it's not that. It'll be the seeds that you're planting,
Yes.
right? So what we would do is
I
you
collect the seeds.
collect the seeds. But what I'd recommend is take your water that you're going to water those seeds with, and do this. Is everybody here familiar with homeopathy?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier.
Okay. So, okay, all right. And this ties back to this. So take that water, treat it with the cell, and then take some of the water, like a little bit of water, and then add it to more water, suffocate it, right? Take that frequency up, and then treat and take that water and treat your seeds, and then watch what happens.
How do I treat the seeds
Well, when
with
you're
that water?
when you're going to start your seeds off, water it with that water.
Oh, when I start them in the spring, and
When you're watering, but
Yeah.
that's what you do with the water, and start that way, right?
Okay, so I took the structured unit that I had, and that's what I used to do my seedlings in the house.
Well, you would structure your water,
Yeah.
but you would also magnetize the water, so we can get
Do
many
both.
different frequencies in.
Yeah.
Both.
You could, this is where you could have this benefit here, right? Is-
Yeah.
And that will go into the cells, and then that will go into the food, right? So,
And then that would make it
Yeah.
quality. And,
Oh gosh, yes,
Yeah.
you'll notice it.
because here's what's interesting. If you actually took the cell and buried it in the soil,
Right.
let's say, okay, because that would logically sound reasonable, right? So rather than doing, let's put some cells in there and stuff. It'll actually slow the growth down, because what happens is there's such a degree with this, and the health area that it'll actually, as you were talking before, is it actually reverses. It'll be really good when it's done, but it'll actually be slower growing, right?
Yeah.
So, but so that's why the seeds would be the better way to go, right? So
But how would I use the magnet for the water? Like what? How
put the
do?
water right on it.
Oh, in
Let
a
the
in a
water sit on
container
it.
and
Yeah,
let it sit on it.
In a container, whatever you're
Yeah,
watering
yeah.
with,
Sure.
to get the seedlings going.
Right.
Then after that,
I would structure
Oh.
the water first and then put it on.
Yeah.
Why? Because structured water has no surface tension.
Right.
So it'll just go,
Sure.
and it'll suck it right up,
But-
and it'll fill itself up
Yeah.
with this frequency. Right?
Yes. Even when I water them, as they're plants now, and I've
Yeah,
got them
they're-
in my
they're-
bed.
yeah.
I use the structured.
Yes.
I put it through the structured water, and that's what I use.
That'd be excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should do
That's
it.
yeah. That's cool.
And remember something, everyone. It doesn't matter what you eat and drink. Everything physical has left the body. The only thing that stays behind is the light and frequency. The light and frequency actually created everything physical. Nothing physical that you ever ate created you. And that's why when you understand that you are created by God Almighty, and when you act like it, and you bring your frequency up, you don't have to eat yourself to death.
Well, and well said, but a bit more than that, we absolutely know that everybody in this room and everybody we're talking to, we are absolutely made of the same thing. We're all one. It is the same thing. Now, as we go around, some of those entities and each one of us are vibrating different, so that's why we're not all on the same page.
Belief
but we're all
systems
made of the same
create
stuff. We're
different
all made of the same stuff. so that's a
personalities.
fact.
Different personalities vibrate at different levels, and different personalities get different diseases. Different personalities will live longer. Different personalities, okay, will enjoy life more. Do you understand? Your personalities are created by the images and thoughts that became programs that you don't even know you're running.
Yep. And boy, all of us have walked in a room and seen the difference. I mean, everybody can attest to that, you can meet one person one way and another, right? So, yeah.
Any more questions? Yes.
Is it neutralizing pesticides and fertilizers?
Well,
Is it neutralizing pesticides and fertilizers?
right. So they are like a pathogen, right? So they've been constructed in a way that they're working in a certain way. Now, we haven't, I'll put it this way, I would assume it would. We haven't tested pesticides. We have tested in food, those different pathogens. So I would assume that it would, but further, I'm going to do that. I would like to be able to provide that for everybody. I believe it totally does, because one cannot be without the other. But to answer your question, is we will pursue that because there's so many different pesticides too, right? So, yeah. So,
If you bring your seeds and you put your seeds on the magnet, it's going to bring up the vibration.
oh, no question.
If
about
you
that, yeah.
structure the water with your structure unit and then you magnetize the water, you are bringing in all that into the seed. So understand something. Does everybody get this? The actual pesticide can actually live there and be there, but never affect the seed again.
Right.
Okay, we know that if you structure water, okay, it's much better than any type of filtering. You don't, okay, so if I structure water, it changes the frequency. It can still have heavy metals, still have fungi, still have bacteria in it, but it doesn't matter. You can drink it. It doesn't touch the body, okay, because now the frequency has changed it. We know that. That's real science. Fourth phase water, look it up, structured water, that's the truth. So now if we structure it and then magnetize it, so if you took the seeds, you magnetize them, you soak the seeds. What if you were to soak the seeds and put them on top of the magnet and let them sit overnight, soaking, right? Because that's what you do, you soak seeds usually, right? You soak your seeds.
I don't soak my seeds, but that's it's not going to harm the seeds.
No, so soak them for a little while.
Yeah.
And in structured water on top of the magnet, just long enough.
Yeah, that's
strong
cool. Yeah,
enough.
let us know. Let us know what,
Yeah.
because we get all this feedback.
Sure.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, then don't
There's
call
no
me,
reason.
call him.
There's no reason why it wouldn't work. There's no reason why it wouldn't work.
No, come to it.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain structuring the water?
Rainwater structure, fast-moving water coming down the mountain, fast-moving rivers. You can drink that water and not poison yourself, even if there's poison in it. So here we have chemtrails. Here's a structure unit. We have many different types. Industrial, you can pour anything through this. And let me just say this really quickly. I don't want to get it because it's not about structuring today. But if you poured your wine through this, you would get drunk quicker, but no hangover. So structuring protects you from any toxins within the liquid that you pour through it. So what happens is the atmosphere structures the water that comes down. If it didn't, the birds, the bees, the flowers, the trees would all be dead right now because of all the chemtrails and all the acid rain. And understand, the crops grow just as good as 500 years ago. Thank God for the structuring. Structuring is invisible. It's changing frequencies, and that's what happens. And that's what we use to, I mean, when I'm traveling, I can't filter my water. And to go and buy bottled water, think about it. Think about how much thought's gone into that. It's in a plastic jug, which is made out of petroleum, and all bottled water, even your Fiji water, has up to 120 chemicals in it. So the reality is everybody got sucker punched on that one. I'll just put it under any tap around the world, as long as it doesn't come out yellow, okay, all right? And I will just run it through here and I drink the water. So then you can say that I'm crazy, but understand, I'll be 67 years old, and there's no stopping me. I don't get sick, I don't get flus, I don't get colds, and that's real science. But people don't buy real science, do they?
No, are you the same age as me? We're the same age.
How old?
67.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, I'm not 67. I'll be 60.
Sorry. Well,
I'll be
you're-
60 in just
Well,
a few
you're just a
weeks.
youngster.
A few weeks.
You're just a young guy.
Yeah.
A young buck.
Young buck.
This is where you pat me on the head.
Marty.
All right.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I have, this is a true story. When I was hearing
Why
about.
the rest were lies?
All the rest were
So
lies.
she's only going to tell the truth once, but here we
So
go.
when I heard about, what we were hearing about, food shortages and all these things coming when people ran out and bought toilet paper, I ran out and bought crates and crates of honey. Because I know honey lasts forever.
Yeah.
I know the nutritional value of it. I did buy some of the pollen. That's not the pollen.
Oh, bee pollen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bee
bee pollen.
pollen.
Yeah.
But I bought cases of it. I still have cases of honey. So if I took my individual jars of honey and set them on this thing, will it give me a better quality honey? Or
Yeah, that's interesting because first of all, honey's got a good quality, depending on the honey.
Yeah, I know
you've
it's-
got.
yeah,
It's probably pretty good.
That's a good question.
It would be what basically would happen with this is, it would just expose it to the magnetics up here, right?
Yeah.
And that would be a lighter entrainment. I wouldn't really say that you know, elevated, not like the honey you bought here, because I'm using a much more intense the way it entrains. Because if you, when you'll see it, and it will be on the website as to how it entrains.
But the honey was created
Yeah.
in the environment.
And this
of the
honey was
magnet.
created in that environment, but it would certainly wouldn't hurt. It would be, if there was anything in the honey that was like a pathogen, then that would work. But honey's good. I mean, it's really, most honeys are really good. I mean, they're really good for you. So if that helps, I think.
Yeah.
Next. Yes.
You're in Ontario here, right? Are you going to be expanding into the...
You're in Ontario. Where are you going to expand to?
Yeah. So we're staying in we're staying in Ontario right now because we're still going through the beekeepers. We just added another 4 or 5 beekeepers. And we're trying to focus on some hobby ones or smaller beekeepers because they struggle.
Organic growth is what's going
Right.
to make them strong.
Yes, and so we're doing that, but then we're looking as we start to go into, we do have a partner in the States. Next year we'll be starting to expand into the States, but we pick and choose our beekeepers because, like, as Daryl could tell you, this is a partnership. It isn't just everybody, because there's some really kooky beekeepers that are into the, you know, and they're negative or, you know, that energy.
Yeah.
So we form a partnership and we help each other and we'll expand it out that way. And then they'll get to other beekeepers. And honey, though, we want to control where we're getting honey. We get our honey from the Grey Highland, which is probably some of the best in the world. And we want to try and keep it consistent. So, like last year, honey.
The honey that he's going to sell. He's not just going to bring any honey.
Right, yeah, because I want to know where it's coming from. I want to know, like, that's for you as the consumer.
Like, yeah,
Right.
if I can show you.
Yeah.
You know Starbucks? Well, I lived in Panama. I lived down there for a couple of years. And you know, Starbucks only hand picks all their beans. That's not true. You know, I could go and pick anything from anywhere, beans, and just throw them in and get paid.
Yeah.
So the reality is they really want to just get the best from the best area.
And our goal is I want to spread out with beekeepers and give them, but I may not be taking honey from a lot of them. It would be selective to certain areas because that's to the consumer, giving them.
What if you carried the best honey in the world? Wouldn't that be something?
And that's what we're working on, because, and controlling it in an area where it's consistent year after year too. Like our last year honey, we just bottled our new honey, and it's virtually identical taste, things, stuff, so that you can get that consistency. So when you buy it 2 years from now, you go, hey, this isn't the same as, you know. This
Yeah,
is like
it's
that.
important.
So it's important for the consumer, right? Yeah.
So you're going to have distributors or reps in certain
Well,
areas?
we'll eventually be going into stores. Specialty stores is where we want to get to because of shipping and things. Like for you guys to go on you know, and order a jar of honey, and then you got to pay like $15 of shipping. It's goofy, right? So we're going into stores, but we also will have influencers and affiliates such as Daryl here to be able to spread that out and get it to his people as well. Yeah. So
Wholesale and...
yeah, so that we're going that route, but you can always go on the website, but very shortly it'll be guided to stores, so you can just go in the store and you're not paying shipping, and you know. And we're trying to hold that price. I want to try and hold that price no matter what. You know, it was where it worked out, and just try to keep it for a long time. You know, but that was with the beekeepers, and that's, you know, I think we'll be able to do that.
Yes.
What's the smallest space that a beekeeper can have to have hives? Like, if I'm in the city, what kind of space do I need to have a hive?
Yeah, it's not the space; it's their food source.
Okay, so if
Right.
I plant a bunch of flowers in my garden, would that be sufficient?
Like,
to
could
do?
she have one beehive?
Yeah, like how many?
It's tough. Again, I have to know more about where it is.
Sure.
But it's tough. But just to give you an idea, this will blow your mind. One bee has to visit 30,000 flowers for 1 tablespoon of honey. So you do the math on it. Now, there's 80, 90,000 bees in a hive,
Yeah.
so you can start to see that.
You won't want to be in a city.
But what I'm saying to you is that's what kind of food source. They need millions of flowers. And
Right. So what about if it's in the neighborhood? Would that be sufficient? And they come to my place for the hive.
All the flowers were there for them and doing that, and you had one hive.
Right.
It could because they'll go up to 5 kilometers.
Right, yeah.
But then in the city, are they getting hit by cars? Or you know, like
Yeah,
they're,
there's
they're
variable.
flying across here and somebody's taking them down.
I mean, you've got to buy a lot of little helmets.
So I guess I'm gonna,
Or your neighbors. Your neighbors are going, hey, I don't like bees, and they're killing them or something. Right?
so I'm gonna have to go and live out the country. I'm gonna have to
It
move.
certainly is better for the bees.
what I
But
want,
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, just logical.
Sure. Okay. Wasn't sure.
Yeah. They need, you know, they need
Food.
their
Yeah.
space. Right?
Yes. Absolutely.
So you do have a storefront though? People that.
Nope. Oh,
No
sorry.
storefront.
Yes, I do. We tested a couple out because we tested price points. We went to a small bakery that has nobody around, and it did very well on selling it. We also have lip balm too, which
Yes.
is really quite good. But I just didn't have that here for that. But you can go online and we sell it by threes and stuff like that. I'll do that next. But back to what I was saying is we're just starting to spread out that now because it's got to be specialty stores because of the price point.
Yeah.
You know, you go into a grocery store,
Yeah, they're not
somebody's
gonna
selling honey for $8,
Right.
you know, whatever. So it's like Manuka in the sense if it's special. Manuka's only special because it comes from the tree, but in actual fact, Manuka has no research or anything that's any different than any honey. It just doesn't. But people, you know, they like it. And so we just need to get in those stores. We'd like to get in a couple thousand stores and then say, hey, you go here, you go here, you go here. And you
Yeah,
go.
but your name is going to be very attractive. The name of your honey is very, like Muka honey. Well, everybody knows what you're talking
Exactly.
about.
And ours is
But
pure
their
weight.
quality is going to be what's the seller, and they're going to remember that name.
Yeah, and remember the brand is Pure Weight.
Yes.
4 Bees is the mission.
Yeah.
But Pure Weight is the honey. Like
Yes.
that's trademark. That's a trademark for the honey.
Good for you.
NRB. So that's why we'll separate those sites so you get the information that you need, right? So,
Is that the
Anybody else?
website for purchasing Pure Wave?
pardon me.
The website.
Well, the website is 4rbs.com right now.
Okay.
And so you can go there and,
And that's a number 4.
Number 4.
R,
Right.
just
Yeah.
R,
Yeah.
Bees,
Yes.
.com. Real simple.
Yeah, just like on the show.
Yeah.
4RB. And but the honey is Pure Weight. Look out for Pure Weight, and the cell is Pure Weight. Again, traded because that's the frequency. That's the Pure Weight is the frequency, right? That's why we went with that.
Good.
So really great to be here, and this is an amazing product. Really.
I threatened her.
Yeah. I know you told them to be good.
He paid us off.
Yeah. And thank you so much for the support, really. Like, I mean, you know,
Thank you for the honey.
Without you, we can't do this, right?
Right.
We can't do it.
It's a win-win.
Yep.
Very good. So, is there anything else anybody wants to ask before he leaves? Because everybody always thinks of something.
Yeah, afterwards.
Yes.
There's some people I'd like to try that magnet.
You sit a person on it.
Yeah, there's some people who like to bring their frequency up.
They can stand on it. They can stand on it.
So everybody's pretty much got around here. They've got their own cell now, right? Or
She's asked the
something,
No,
question.
you have 10 more that you have to bring.
I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I will.
All right.
She has a question here.
Oh, go ahead. Who has a question?
Right here. You had a question?
Yes, sir.
If by chance, say you had an injury, an ankle injury, would that be beneficial to put on your ankle at night or something?
Well, but people have told us is not so much that, but aches and pains. It's well documented. It'll help with that, like inflammation, right? Now, a fracture, I think is what you just mentioned, is that's a little different, but it could help with the pain. I wouldn't say that that's going to help with that fracture. You're going to have to go and get that, you know, looked after. But on the pain end of it, it seems, especially with inflammation, you know, like any kind of like that arthritis or that kind of thing. Yeah, Terry, go ahead.
Magnets have improved. They use them in
yeah.
hospitals,
Yeah.
in casts.
Everything is frequency.
To knit the bone faster.
Absolutely, it's proven anyway. Not just our product, but that's proven with the magnets. So I think you'd be okay there. But a fracture is different in the sense. Now, the instrument I treat the honey with, that's where we're starting to talk about the fracture. Now you're talking PEMF frequency, pulse electromagnetic frequency.
Because there's 300.
It's in motion.
What'd you say, 300?
And it's spinning. And it's spinning.
Yeah,
So
it's
got
spinning
the
very
motion.
fast.
Yeah.
And then there's 360. Did you say?
Yes, 310.
310.
And that then gets entrained right into the bone, and that's been proven for fractures to help. That's been studied. So that's
Long and strong. That's what you want. Long and strong.
That's right.
But so if it was something like this to help you to heal, you don't put it on for 10 minutes. You would keep it there. The longer the better.
Yeah.
Okay? you would want to have it there for a long time. It stays there.
Slowly works. It works over time.
Yeah, because the frequency is continually, remember something, frequency is the nutrition. A, B, C, D, E vitamins are not the nutrition. The nutrition is electrical frequency.
I've never heard that, but that's
yeah, you know, you take the best multi in the world and all of it leaves the body. The only thing that's left is that. That's why, you know, believe it or not, how many people know that a rainbow has all the nutrients that you want. So, you know, when the sunlight is coming through, and if you're standing where there's a rainbow and there's the sun on the other side and the sun is coming through the rainbow, you're getting all the nutrition to heal the body. But you didn't know that.
Amazing.
Light and color therapy.
I just wanted to say, before I forget to say it, is that one of the greatest days of my life was realizing, and this is what led me on this path, about frequency and changing and what we could do. It empowered me to know, and I want to pass this on to you, any negative, anything that you hear out there that's going on or whatever you're seeing is, what we've talked about today, the antidote is there. There's always there, so you can count on that. It's just where you're looking or what part you're dealing with. But once I knew that, is that anxiety went away. It goes away because there's a solution to all of it, not just because we said it was, because there really is.
How many people have said, I've walked this path 100 times and I've never seen that? Mm-hmm. Because guess what? You didn't open yourself up to it. Because fear will shut everything down. It narrows you.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's actually a name for it. Has everybody heard the reticular activator?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so you want to buy a Kia all of a sudden. One of you decided, you see them everywhere. Oh, there's a Kia, there's Kia, there's Kia. Yeah, because now you've decided you're in that zone. That goes with everything. So that's across the board.
On a negative too.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, when you're saying,
positive, negative,
when we're vibrating like a turd, you only see turds everywhere.
And you only attract turds too. Right? They're all around you all of a sudden.
Turd's a word.
Yeah. Well, magnetism, just start bringing it in, right? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Does the magnets weaken over time?
Yes, great question. It does.
The magnets weaken over time.
Does it weaken over time? So what a magnet is, it's got a gauze ring.
It's good for 2 weeks.
2 days.
Get the tomatoes out.
So magnets have what's called a gauze ring to them. So this has got neodymium magnets here. So normal magnets, lighter magnets, they may lose their gauze strength over a 3-4 year period. Neodymium magnets, which is in here, this is proven. This will lose its gauze strength rate of 3% 20 years.
Oh.
Right? So this is good for 20. It will weaken after 15, 16 years, but only by, right? So that's why this is such
20
great
years.
value. Amazing value. These magnets are like super expensive compared to other magnets. But that's why, because they won't lose their strength. So you guys will be using this and you'll be giving it and using it. So it's got that value. It's not going anywhere. And you don't have to plug it in, so you don't have to spend anything more, right? So that's
can
what
it
the value
be
is.
recharged after it's lost its strength?
Pardon me?
Can it be recharged?
What, in 20 years?
No, but it's a good question. The only way you can charge magnets is by putting them in another magnetic force that has high speed. So yeah, what I do is, over a 10-year period, I can put those cells on the machine I have, and that will jack them back up again. That's how it interjects it to it, right? It's the
So
speed.
you can ship it in, he'll jack it up.
That's how the Earth does it. How do you think these where they come from? This incredible thing is by the Earth spinning and that geomagnetic force, that's where it's coming from. So we can go back to that. So it all makes sense. You know?
So just remember how important magnetism is. There's no such thing as gravity. It's magnetism. We can't. The reason why we're earthbound is because of magnetism, not because of gravity. There is no gravity.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Different way.
Yeah, ruled, schooled, and fooled.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, well, cool. I never thought about that.
Just a little bit off topic. I have the trombone squash, and it's a squash that's swirly like a trombone. So if this is what he's telling us about the gravity. So if you just plant it and it grows across the ground, it swirls like a trombone. Yeah. But if you put a cattle panel and make your thing to grow up.
Grow up off the ground.
Yes, and it my structure, and it's whatever. If you put it up that, the fruit hangs and it goes straight because of the gravity.
'Cause it's not grounded anymore.
It's grounded. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why.
And I just thought of
I
that
never
now
wear
when you
shoes
said it.
unless
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah, no, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
Well, even now I don't wear shoes.
Concrete or whatever, but I really like, I like to leave you with this. From now on, every time you see a church, every time you see a corporation, major corporation, look at the symbol. Look at their logo, especially churches. You're going to see flower of lives all over the place. On those round windows, start looking at them. Right? Look at old churches. Look at the round window. Look at the point. Start counting what's going on.
Those stained glass windows, when the sun comes through, it comes through the flower of life, and it creates a higher energy in the church that wants you to come back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you know where this comes from? So Samaria went to Egypt, that went to the Romans, that went to the Roman Catholics. It just went right through there, right? And it's everywhere. The biggest statue in the Roman Catholic center is a pine cone. Now you think, well, what's a pine cone? Well, it's the pineal. It's the pineal gland. Sixth sense, and it's huge. And go look at the old the Roman Catholic priest. It's a pine cone on top of their staff.
Does anybody notice that you never get taught anything in school that will give you the edge to understand that you are electrical, magnetic, spirit being, and if you don't feed your spirit, you're going down. There it is.
But now you're going to start seeing this everywhere. Now that I've said this, you're going to see the symbols everywhere. Chrysler, Mercedes, whatever. They're all using these symbols, right? And they're very powerful. And it's a reason. The Jewish flag didn't have the star tetrahedron on it. It was the 8 candles that was from the regular Hebrew, but they changed it in the 17th century. The Rothschilds changed it, and the star tetrahedron is no coincidence. That's very specific to that, right? So just pay attention to the symbols. That's your sacred geometry.
And just know this, that you're going to have to go off the beaten path, okay? If you want to find your authentic self. Yes.
One more question.
Yes, Catherine.
Is there a right and a wrong side of it to have toward your body?
No. As a matter of fact, with that, I can show you both the magnetic. It's the same on both sides. Yeah. Now it's because of the polarities are set there. It makes no difference. It's fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it goes around. That's why it's even around the foot. Yeah. There's no weak spot.
And let's show that again. Where's that?
Yeah.
Show it to everyone.
So I'll do both sides. So we go this side, right, which you can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now remember that this here is not in here. This here.
It's what it projects.
It's projecting this because that's creating the tornado, the turbine, to create the energy.
Yeah. This is what goes into the cells. Now
What
let's
is
go.
that? What is that lens? What is that?
Sorry.
That lens?
The apparatus thing.
Okay, what this is, let me just show this.
No, because
Let me show the other side now, just because that was the question, right? So that's the other side. It's exactly the same. What this is, this has a gel in here, in between the film. So this is just a paper back here.
Okay.
In that gel, it only reflects whatever's coming out magnetically.
It's a dielectric gel?
Yeah, and you can buy it online. It's like $39 something, but it's amazing that what it can pick up on.
a dielectric gel.
Yeah.
Lori, make sure we order one, will you?
Yeah, I can get to the link or whatever to find it. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I hope that answers your question. Both sides, same. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
How we doing? Are we good?
That was incredible. I loved it.
Okay. Good. Yeah, on your pillow. Just put it on your pillow.
Under your pillow.
Yeah, sure.
Under your pillow.
Yeah, you'll find it quite good. Some people have even said that tinnitus seems to be a big thing, but it seems to help with that and things like that. Although we're not advocating that because we don't have research, but this is what I'm hearing back.
What about beside your router?
Beside your router,
Yeah.
I would keep. Okay, there's a really good thing. It's not going to erase that, but don't put your cell phone on this, and don't put it right beside your computer because magnetics have a tendency to wipe out data. But this is not strong enough to do that. If it was stronger, it would. Like my machine can do that big time, right? But I'm just saying, don't do it. And then we've got it in the manual. Just keep that stuff Like the cell phone can be over here, it can be in your pocket. Or
Yeah, it's just not right.
Just don't lay it on it, and even then it's unlikely. But anyway, I would just say keep electronics away from it. There's no reason to have it by the electronics. There's no good reason. It actually blocks some of the 5G and the 4G frequencies. It'll mess with that. It'll interfere, right? And so, which is good, you know. Yeah.
What about, you know how they use magnets to demagnetize defibrillators?
Oh yeah, that's another great question. Anybody that has really good, and it's
pacemaker.
Pacemakers or artificial things shouldn't be putting this on it or doing that because it will mess with that. Definitely. Any magnetics.
No, that means right on it. Now, if you had a pacemaker, you could do your knee.
Yeah,
you could do your back.
Don't put it close to
just not right here. Okay, you could put it down here in your solar plexus. Just don't bring it up here.
And if you've had knees done and hips done, you got metal in there. That's going to be a problem too, because metal is going to be like. So yeah, this is working organically, so you don't want to be.
But you put it on the opposite.
I can't tell you how many restaurants I've walked over with silverware hanging off it and stuff. Right? It's just forks and knives.
No, so you wouldn't put it on your knee or your hip, but you can put it anywhere else.
No, you can. If you've had metal.
No, don't put it over top of a pacemaker.
I have metal, right? So
yes, you wouldn't put it where that metal is.
But you can put it on other parts.
Where's your metal? Where do you have your metal?
My spine.
Oh, it's down the spine, is it? There's some metal on some of the cartridges?
Like from here
to here. Rod. So
just
don't put it on it. You can put it beside it over here.
Yeah, I would.
So the rod's here, you can go over here.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would think under your pillow because it only has a foot. Try that.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely from your back, because you've got metal there, right? And it's going to.
It's not going to hurt you.
But it'll. Boom.
It will. What it will do is they will push back on each other. So you could feel some tug of war.
Yeah, it might not be.
You don't want a tug of war.
No, while I'm sleeping.
Right.
No, but when you wake up, you want a tug of war.
It is magnetic. It's titanium.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if it's titanium,
it's fine.
I got titanium.
Magnetic material in your body.
Yeah, I just remember there's metal. Some people have metal, as we were saying here.
Yeah, some people are mental. I mean, keep it away from mental. I mean,
it's amazing how close it metal.
All right. Well, what do you think?
Good. Well, hey, what do you think? That was great.
I think that was
okay.
This is my second time with you, and it's always been wow, what an experience, right?
Amen. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for everything you do. Come on over and introduce yourself, please.
Yeah.
Please. I'll move, and Terry, you come and say hello, and tell everybody who you are and what you do, and what part of this you play.
Hi, I'm Terry McGrath. I've been a friend of Brent's for 10 years and business partner. Where we met, I guess it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We were at an energy conference in the city. I'm a biofeedback specialist. I use energy and I've been using it for 25 years. I also use pulse magnetic field work. I have a Tesla mat, so I do have clients come and see me. But we didn't realize we lived so close together when we met. And he was in the process of designing a geodesic dome where we're going to do all this research, where all this research came for the
it's on the website. You can go.
It's on the website. So we remained friends for all that time, and then now in business together to take this mission further. So.
And Terry really he looks after the bees. He's the bee guy of the company, where he goes out, makes sure they have seeds, make sure they're looked after, what we need to give them. So he's a big part of with the beekeepers.
It's been an incredible journey, and it just, I said to Brent on the way, power versus force. You never force anything in your life. Power is what you want to do stuff with, is power, and that's how you'll succeed in anything. This thing came along, and it's been the synchronicity has been. We haven't gone out looking. We didn't go looking for Darryl. We didn't go looking for Bob Connolly. Look him up. He did work with plants and set them up with a lie detector, and they responded. He went in with a knife, and they went woo 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 woo, and then he went in with love, and they all calmed down again. And then he created music with them. It was amazing. But he just finished a movie. He worked on it for 10 years. Tesla. He flew all over the world, and they're using Tesla medicine again. It was all banned back in the 30s because it worked.
Yes.
So it's all coming back now.
Right.
And it's our healthcare system is shot, so we got to take care of ourselves.
Yep.
And this is the way we're going to do it, right? Is through knowledge and through sharing and sharing, sharing our ideas with people.
Here, here.
So, great group, great like-minded people. I love it. The energy here is just fabulous. And it's been a great journey. But his movie's going to be shown probably in September at Cineplex in the city. But there's 3 parts to it. The first one is on magnetism. The next one is on vibration energy, and the next one's on sound. So there's 3 parts to this. But he spent 10 years. He did the music all himself. He filmed it all himself. The man's a genius. And he's trying to bring this to the world. So we're working closely with him, and that came about, again, the synchronicity. We didn't go looking for him. So Tesla was responsible for Niagara Falls. He was responsible for AC power. But they hid that for the longest time. They didn't want to. They called him a kook, right? But now they're advertising him, and Bob's going to go down and receive an award next Friday, for all his work he did with Tesla and bringing it to the world, bringing it back to the world. And you're going to see more and more of that type of healing. And it's all energy, just like our friend Daryl said, right?
Yes.
He's bringing all our videos. He's been in with the beehives. Yeah.
He's filmed it all. There's a lot of stuff you'll be seeing when our updated website comes out. It's going to be very informative. But he had a funny thing happen to him. He was up in Kilbear Park, up in Northern Ontario, checking energy from the granite, right? He had special equipment. And it was just amazing. He said he was there, he was sleeping on the rocks, right? Getting grounded, and he just woke up and it was like, save the bees. He had this vision.
Yeah.
And he didn't know us at the time, right? And then we get together, boom. So synchronicity, there's no coincidences, right? So keep your eyes open. When things happen, they happen for a reason. Very important.
Well said, man.
Be aware. And thank you very much. And if you're driving home, put that cell on your back if you're doing a lot of driving. I keep it there all the time, right? I keep one in the car. So
who didn't get a
Thanks
cell?
for joining us, everyone. And we will have Brent back on, and he'll be doing more Busy Bee talks, okay? And everybody have a beautiful Sunday, and we'll see you here tomorrow.
Who didn't get a cell that still wanted to get one?